Kevin Myers, who's top columnist and writer with the Irish Independent, I just quote from him. He says, "We've created a dysfunctional leviathan of a welfare state, all because of our Catholic thinking." He says that Catholic thinking is based on the concept of forgiveness. The notion that things have consequences is kept at bay. He's in a startling contribution to the debate on the welfare state and the future of it. He says the idea of consequence is equal in some people's minds to the countries that are adjacent to the North Sea. Kevin, good afternoon to you.
Hello, Damien. How are you?
Now, our unemployment benefit has doubled. Our children's child benefit has gone up fivefold in the first decade of the 21st century. Why is this happening?
Yeah, the piece was written in the context of the failure of the PIGS countries of southern EU, Portugal, Italy, Greece and Spain, plus Ireland. These are Catholic countries that have, all of them without exception, used the welfare state to debauch the electorate. This hasn't happened in northern European countries which have Protestant political cultures, which includes France, which is not notionally Catholic, but its culture is Protestant. You don't corrupt your state by welfarism if you're intelligent. But that's what politicians in the PIGS countries have done. They have bought votes by using the welfare state not to protect the needy, but to bribe the electorate. And this has been done spectacularly in Ireland, as we know. But it's happened throughout the southern perimeter of Europe. Now, the question I was raising today, is it part of the Catholic culture? Because Catholics have deeply imbued inside them the notion that they can, that is to say, we can, go to confession and can undo our sins. Protestants don't do this. Protestants don't knowingly sin, knowing that they can be forgiven or absolved of their sins within a week or a month. They know that they have to live by the consequences of their deeds, which causes them to be very conservative about what they give away.
For sure. Now, you put Greece in with the Catholic countries. I suppose it's technically accurate. It's the Greek Orthodox form of Catholicism.
It is.
Yeah. But you say the Greece is probably the worst example here. You're likening it to a Montessori school that puts E in the tap water and crack cocaine in the milk.
Yes, I mean, the Greek politicians are far, far worse than anything you'll find in Fianna Fáil. They are spectacularly terrible. I can't remember all the details about how much they earn, but a Greek MP is paid for 15 months a year. That is to say, they increase their pay by adding 3 months notional.
They're operating on a 62-week year.
Yeah, exactly, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it's completely bonkers.
The Greeks are worse than anybody, and they're probably unreformable. And they always have been.
Kevin, you watch the news very carefully. You've seen what's going on today. I want to just quote a few examples to you. The Irish Nationwide Building Society, they've cost the taxpayer €5,400 million in bailout money.
5.4 billion, yeah.
Yeah, 5.4 billion. The workers are pushing for 3.5% pay rise, a bonus of 2 weeks' pay, lump. That's basically it. The Labour Court, I think, told them this would be completely improper given the background. But the IBOA says they go on strike. The guys up in Foss, they have a cushy early retirement scheme, which they phase you into retirement 2 years, 70 days off per year on annual leave for the last 2 years of your stay at Foss. Take the bank holidays on top of that, and you've got another 83, 84 days. What's that, 14, 16 weeks?
Yeah, the weeks, I think the holidays are included in the 70-day annual leave. It really doesn't matter, the details. What you get is a virus of dependency and belief that there is, in the central exchequer, a cargo of gold that can be distributed to the population. This is, and it's actually, I use the cargo because, as you know, in the Pacific after the Second World War, there was a cargo cult. People believed that if you just stayed still, American planes would land and deliver goodies to you. We have a version of that, a welfarist version of this, that the state is able to give money. Now, Irish Nationwide is essentially controlled by the state, and no doubt the officials who work for the bank believe that there is money to be got from the state. There isn't. We all know that at one level.
Kevin, there will be a backlash. I just want to play you a clip of audio, Kevin Myers. We had a guy on yesterday on the programme, Steve Bannon. He's a co-founder of the National Tea Party Federation in the United States, and they are effectively dictating policy now on Capitol Hill. And this is what he had to say about the situation that's facing Ireland. Just listen to this for a sec.
it's not that any of these discussions are pleasant. You know, I keep telling people that all the easy decisions are 10 years in back of us. Everything we have today, you know, no one really wants to make these cuts. These cuts are going to be quite unpopular and very unpleasant. I think Ireland's in the same situation. As after you build up a welfare state or a nanny state of that scale, to have to pare it back is always, you know, very, very difficult. It's those who carry the water versus those who drink the water.
Kevin, I presume you'd agree with much of what he's saying there.
Yeah, I'm not particularly fond of the Tea Party movement, but I do understand why it exists. And Americans have serious debate where they deal with realities rather than emoting and emotionalizing issues. And what we do in Ireland is discuss things according to some moral virtue inside our brains, not according to economic reality. And Americans deal in economic realities. And their culture is opposed to welfarism. We've got not a question whether you like the welfare state or not. Is it sustainable? Now, you'd know much more about this than I would, because you're an economist by training. But you would, the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and Korea, they don't have welfare states, and they're the countries which are now calling the shots internationally. America, in the last 15 years, 20 years, has built a welfare state which it cannot afford. It's got various health schemes which it cannot afford. It's got welfare checks which it cannot afford to pay.
Well, we're in the daft situation where we spend 21 billion a year on welfare, and we take in 34 billion a year in tax. That's 2/3 of our money goes on welfare. That's not sustainable anyway.
It's not even 21 billion. This was what the figure was used by whoever it was on the radio with me the other day. I've forgotten her name. Forgive me, I should have remembered her name.
It's probably the Minister for Social Protection.
That's just one department. If you throw in all government departments, it's 29 billion. If you allow for tax allowances and this and that and the other, the actual net loss to the exchequer is 29 billion on welfare. Now, we can't do that. But it's not just us. It is the model which has been used across Europe since Bismarck introduced the welfare state in Germany at the end of the 19th century. Every state has got involved in the private affairs of individuals to ensure that people don't go hungry and don't get cold. And these are laudable objectives. But to what degree are they attainable, and to what degree are they inevitably going to be corrupted by politicians who are trying to buy votes? When you have the unemployment benefit in the Republic going up 200% in 7 years, in the years of the Celtic Tiger, when there was no unemployed.
Kevin, there's another story today, and I must say I was absolutely startled by it, but not for the reasons. The media are getting antsy because apparently some of our big general hospitals are sending the files, doctors' files, for typing to places like the Philippines. We have 400,000 people signing on the dole in this country. But a doctor would sit down this afternoon in Tala Hospital, possibly, dictate into a machine and patient records and or possibly correspondence with the patient. That will be transferred via a middleman company to the Philippines, where it will be typed up by somebody in the Philippines at the price of 10 cents a line for a letter, say, for example. Is this country going bonkers or what?
Yeah, outsourcing like that seemed to make sense about 5 years ago because there weren't any people to do this, because we had overexpanded the economy, we lacked labour, and so on and so forth. I tried to introduce the subject of immigration and the effects of immigration and overgrowth 10 years ago, and I was promptly called a racist for doing so. It's not unreal to say, we can only grow our economy at a certain level, and the needs of the economy are created by the people of Ireland. I've said this 100 times. The first duty of an economy, the first reason to have an economy, is to sustain the people who are in the economy and who run the economy. If you allow the economy to take over society, then the economic needs of the economy are going to come before the needs of the society. And that's getting things back to front. We only work because we need to work and to stay together as a people and to have families and so on and so forth. And by all means, we need immigration. It's a good thing.
But we have 120,000 people working in the health service. It's only a tiny little country. And yet they have reached the conclusion at some level in the management of the HSE that they haven't got the resources to type their own documents and letters.
No, that's astonishing. That's the point. If you say that everything can be done by outsiders, if you allow the culture of of removal of responsibility to become a norm, then you'll say somebody else could do this more cheaply in the Philippines, rather than saying, okay, we've got to have wage rates in Ireland that are appropriate to Ireland.
Yeah, but there's 17,000 people who are classed as administrators in the health system. Yet we can't keep documents on our own. We have to send them. We have to send them 5,000 miles away
without them getting lost. And so, look, you use the M word for the HSE. That's the management. There is no management in HSE. It's a vast open-air slum. 1 in 5 of the employees in the HSE is a manager. These are managers who don't manage. You know, you and I could have a 24-hour conversation about the futility of the welfare state that has been created. And every single listener without exception has an example of the futility of how our welfare state has been managed or mismanaged. Now, you know, we've got to have a big conversation about this without somebody getting morally superior. I know you're going to get texts saying Kevin Myers is heartless and he wants to evict the poor and the old and he wants the hungry to die. And if that's the kind of conversation you have, you know that no reforms will result. And either the holier-than-thou, higher moral ground, which characterizes almost every debate, will prevent realism of any kind taking hold.